Hey, what's up everyone? Ralph here. So in this video, we have a woman who's going to talk about why she prefers a job over a career, right? So she's going to explain her reason for that. So I'm just going to let her talk and then I'll share my thoughts in between.
No, I don't want a career. I just want a job. I don't care about climbing the corporate ladder or becoming a CEO or something. Like, if that's what you want to do, that's fine, but that's definitely not for me. I just want a job where I don't have to worry about my basic needs being met. So that means that I'm paid enough to not starve.
All right, so obviously when it comes to career, right, you're climbing a corporate ladder, right? You're working in a certain industry with the hopes and means to eventually make more money, right? So with a job, of course, there's different jobs. You're not trying to advance past anything, right? You work a job at a coffee shop, maybe you work at Amazon, and you're just trying to get a job so you can put in your time and then get paid. So for her, the reason why she probably doesn't want to work the career because she doesn't want to deal with the responsibility, right? The stresses, the politics when it comes to working in a corporate office, right? If you ever worked in a corporate office, then you understand like the responsibility. And of course, as you work the corporate ladder, the more money you're going to make, the more responsibilities you're going to deal with. And she probably doesn't want to deal with that. So what she wants to do, she prefers a job where it's less responsibility, less stress, where she can just, do her time and get paid for it. The problem is that she also wants a job where her basic needs are met, right? Where she's not starving. Now, of course, with a career, working in a career, your goal is to make more money as you progress and as you gain more experience. That's what you'll do. But with a job, you're not really progressing too much, maybe past the manager, depending on what the job is. So you're kind of capped in your income. And with today's economy, the way things are with inflation, the way things are getting more expensive, that could be dangerous, right? Because you need to make sure your income is keeping up with inflation. And it's just hard to do that with, maybe a certain job. So she obviously needs to, you don't want her to come back and then say like, oh my God, my job is not paying me enough to eat, it's not helping me meet my basic needs. So that's something she's going to have to understand that isn't a situation she might face in the future when it comes to the economy that we're living in today. So we'll let her continue.
And to not have a breakdown every single day before work, because in my previous job, I definitely had a nervous breakdown every single day before work. And the reason why I don't really care about having a career, at least in the corporate world, is because nobody really cares about you. Like, no matter what, you are not a human being. You are an asset to the company. I actually quit my previous job because there was so much bullying going around. There was so much toxic behaviors that I was like, oh my God, this is not it. And it got to the point where my mental health was so bad that I wanted to unalive myself. So I told my boss that I was going to quit, and she was like, why? And I was like, well, this environment isn't necessarily really healthy for me. I don't really feel like I'm thriving here. First of all, she says, I don't believe in mental health, which is, and second of
So let me say this. Obviously, when it comes to your mental health, you want to make sure you make that a priority, right? If it's getting to a point where your job is affecting your mental health, where you want to unalive yourself, then of course you want to make sure you get that taken care of, right? Because it's obviously not worth it. You want to make sure you make that a priority and do what you need to do. If it requires you to leave your job, then if that's what you feel like you need to do, then you do that. However, just make sure you understand that you can't really outrun your problems. All right. Also, when it comes to corporate, in the terms of no one really cares about you, like you need to get over that. Like that's how it is. That's just how it is. Depending on the size of the company. Now, if you work at a company where maybe there's like 5-10 people, then I mean they can manage that better, right? Like it's more communal, like it's more family oriented, and then the people that you work with are more focused and more attentive to what's going on in your life. But if you're starting getting into these companies where you got hundreds or maybe thousands of employees, it's impossible for them to even like focus on you and worry about what's going on in your day, right? They don't have time to really focus on your mental health. Obviously, they want to make sure you have the tools necessary to get the job done, right? But in terms of making sure you're okay mentally and all that, they don't have time for that. They have hundreds of employees, thousands of employees that they need to make sure they're working in an environment where they can at least get the job done. So people have to understand, like, look at man, you in these big corporations, you're just a number. They're just there to work and get a job done. You have to really like understand that, right? Like you go in there and do your job the best that you can, get paid and keep it moving. If you're trying to progress through the ladder, then obviously you do what you have to do. That's just the nature of the beast. But understand that when it comes to them worrying, focusing on your happiness, that's not their job, right? Like there's no one, it's a harsh reality, but it's no one's job to make sure you're happy. It's not your employer, it's not your friends, it's not your partners. It's no one's job. It's your job. It's your responsibility to make sure you're happy, right? That's your focus. That's your job to make sure you find your own happiness, right? Because no one can control that. That's up to you. So you have to really deal with that reality. It sucks. It's harsh, but that's just the way life is, right? It's your job to make sure you're happy, and you do what you need to do to make sure you're happy. You find that happiness.
Of all, she doesn't ask me whether I'm okay. She doesn't ask me if there's anything that she can do as a leader. She just tells me, well, what are you going to do about it? Your position is empty and we need that position. So you better do something about it. They were more concerned with the project and the work rather than a person's well-being. And the scary thing is that this is just one minor horror story in the sea of horrible corporate stories that are out there. So it's just not worth it.
Look at, man, I worked for corporate America. I had 2 corporate jobs. And look at, man, it wasn't for me as well. Like, I understand, like, everything people say about corporate America is I found it whack. It was trash to me. I didn't want to deal with it. So, I mean, I decided to do something. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go somewhere where I can focus on doing my own thing. And that was me. I chose to do something about it. And I probably worked there for maybe a total of I worked 2 corporate jobs in it for a total of maybe 6-7 years, I think, something like that. And it was just like, you know what, like, the people were cool. Like, I enjoyed I had always had the people that I worked, my coworkers are always cool. I always had a good time with them. Never had, there's the most people that I met there were cool, and I'm still friends with them today. But just the whole, I've always been entrepreneurial, so that, corporate life was never for me, and it's something that I probably wasn't gonna deal with long term. So I've always been that person, like, all right, I'm gonna do something for myself because I wanted to control my income. I wanted to be able to control my time and have just more control over my finances. So, like, I get it. When it comes to corporate, yeah, it can be very stressful at times. And I remember one time I had a manager who was just bothering the heck out of me, that I even snapped at her, and she ripped me up because she was yelling at a lot of us, and I snapped right back at her. So there's a lot of horror stories when it comes to corporate America, and it's just something you got to deal with, right? It's either you deal with it or you don't. It's just, you make the choice. So for me, I chose, like, I'm gonna get out of it and do my own thing. So obviously for her, she has to make her choice, and if it's getting to a point where it's stressing her out, where it's affecting her mental health, then she needs to understand she needs to do something about that. But just understand, like, this is just the way it is when you're working at these jobs, man. Hopefully you find a good job where you got a good boss, but these are difficult things to find. So those are my thoughts. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Make sure you leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and share. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe. All right, so you guys take care and have a good one. Later.